Bickley and Marotta. Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Suns fans received a major surprise over the weekend. They received a happy ending to a regular season gone wrong, and if we're really lucky, maybe even a happy basketball team. And for this, we can thank Bradley Beal, who is no longer the third wheel on a super team. In the span of 2 games, he has given this team a new life and a new personality. He was also the driving force in this team, avoiding a perilous play-in tournament, a team that now is a very favorable postseason draw. Now, there are those who believe this Suns team is beyond redemption, that they've been too inconsistent and too reckless with our emotions, too reckless in their lapses in focus, but I don't feel that way at all. I believe the series of events over the weekend, the 2 victories, along with a much-needed assist from the Lakers, is exactly the kind of reward this fan base needs to believe all over again, and Beal's show of emotion on Friday night clearly galvanized Planet Orange because we've seen so little of that over the course of 82 games. Now, to be honest, I'm still kind of miffed at Devin Booker and Kevin Durant for their nonchalance, but they can make good now in the postseason. And for now, I'm just thankful for Bradley Beal for giving a battered fan base exactly what they needed, proof that the Suns actually care as much as the rest of us. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I mean, I just feel good. I'm in a good mindset. But I'm blessed, man. My body feels good. I'm playing some really good basketball at the right time. And like I said last game, I'm just locked in. I'm just super excited to be with this group, to have an opportunity to know that we can have a chance to win every single night. And there's no better feeling than knowing I can go to troop with these guys on a nightly basis, man. And I'm excited for it, excited for what we do, how we continue to build on what we do. And it's time now. It starts now.
Yeah, it was Bradley Beal postgame on the television broadcast on Arizona's Family Sports yesterday. And during the course of that interview, which lasted like 2 minutes tops, it was 4 or 5 teammates came by and interrupted Bradley Beal to make a point of like what that meant, what his game meant. Damian Lee pouring cold water over his head to cool him off. I mean, we've been talking about Bradley Beal for a while. And under the context of when things are going bad, Bradley Beal was the guy who at least verbally stepped up.
Yes.
Took culpability.
Accountability.
And said the things that a very tense fan base wanted to hear. It's been almost him exclusively.
Yes.
Devin Booker has not done that. Devin Booker ruffled from feathers last week when he said, I'm chilling. We got another one.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant has been very even-keeled with his responses, throughout this season.
But there's a lot of visuals of him being disengaged on the end of the bench, not part of timeouts. Fans have noticed that stuff.
But, man, Bradley Beal has taken that to a new level. On Friday night, again, it stood out. If you watch that game, the outward emotion that he showed when the game was on the line, not only showing emotion, but making plays that led to that emotion.
Yeah.
It stood out like a sore thumb.
It really did.
And, man, I hope that is something that they can take that fuse and light it and ride it into the playoffs.
I totally agree. It was such a simple gesture, but it was so meaningful. You saw the way Suns fans blew up on Twitter or X. It was something that was so the fan base craved something like that. Show us you care. And that's exactly what Bradley Beal did. There was, and I find this kind of ludicrous. I think it's kind of understandable, but I also find it ludicrous, this explanation that, Bradley Beal hasn't had any playoff success. Bradley Beal really hasn't even seen the playoffs. Guys like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they've been there. KD's won championships. I'm like, okay, first of all, Devin Booker hasn't won a title, so I really hope this isn't true. That I really hope it isn't, we're not, this doesn't excite us. Why would this excite us? Yeah, and I think that's just a way of trying to kind of figure out why Bradley Beal's exuberance is hitting the fan base the way it has. Either way, I couldn't be happier because what he did to Anthony Edwards yesterday, he put him in the icebox, Vinny.
He did.
And that's their best player. So what is that team doing when they show up to practice tomorrow to get ready for the series that begins Saturday? Game 1 is Saturday. That's all we know.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go? Their identity. We're the best defensive team in the NBA. Oh, really? Sure didn't look like that in any of the 3 games against the Suns.
The Suns have 2 40-plus point quarters against the Minnesota Timberwolves this year. The Suns scored the most points against the Timberwolves in any single game this year. They also held the Timberwolves to their lowest point total of the year.
They have great interior defense, but if you're playing against a team who's awesome at mid-range jumpers, it doesn't matter if you can protect the rim. I think the Suns just match up really well against Minnesota, right?
They clearly do.
They do.
And I don't know. Anthony Edwards, the next Michael Jordan. It's all happening now. Really? Did you see what Bradley Beal did to him on both ends of the court? And Bradley Beal, let's not forget. A week ago he was guarding Zion.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the biggest strike against him when they traded for him, other than his health and his contract, was that he wasn't a great defender.
No.
What are they going to do? He's not a great defender.
No.
How are they going to overcome that?
Frank Vogel said something that I can really relate to, and that is, he said, there's a lot of people who think Bradley Beal's a good player. Last couple games, he's shown he's one of the NBA's best. That's exactly the way I look at this, because for most of this season, watching Bradley Beal, I have been of the mindset there's 45 guys in the NBA that are just like him. Not the last 2 games, there aren't.
Yeah, it was interesting to note that during the season when the preliminary list for U.S. Olympic spots came out, Bradley Beal was nowhere to be found on that list, and that was about 40 deep.
See, there you go.
We didn't talk about that in real time, but
that's a good point, Vinny.
Talk about picking your spots.
Oh.
One other thing I want to mention too, in terms of realization and transparency and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It took till game 81. This was going to Friday night back in Sacramento. The Suns did not play a complete game. They toughed it out at the end and made the plays they needed to win, but they struggled at times during that game against Sacramento. Frank Vogel finally said this:
we're not a good passing team. I mean, it's the simplest way to put it. Like we have to improve our reads, our passing, our deception, our use of our eyes, our pass fakes, and just putting the ball on time, on target. I mean, we got to get that corrected. We want to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish.
If there is one thing that has made me pull out my hair all season long, it is the passing or lack thereof that this Suns team has, that they just don't learn from their mistakes.
No.
It was sloppy on Friday. It was much better yesterday. They cut down their turnovers yesterday. Most of them were, non-pass type turnovers, but thank goodness he finally said it.
Well, yes, I totally agree with you, and it's all tied in. The nonchalant attitude that this team has previously had, the one that drove this fan base insane, it's best seen through the prism of how they move the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
There are nights when they just make passes, and you're like, okay, you're an 18-year veteran, Kevin Durant. Why are you attempting a cross-court pass? And you're right. It seems like they've never learned those lessons.
And then yesterday in the first quarter, the way the ball was moving was brilliant.
Look at the turnover discrepancy yesterday.
NBA record, 19 turnovers in the first half for the Minnesota Timberwolves. 19!
It's unbelievable. Look, this is quite the ending to a regular season that's been about the weirdest we have ever watched.
Yep. Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.